Hello and welcome to FC Dallas Live, presented by Toyota. I am Gina Miller, your host for the next 30 minutes where we're taking you behind the scenes of your favorite soccer club. FC Dallas is back in Frisco right now, gearing up for their final of their 5 straight matches away from Toyota Stadium. Although they were in town last night, we'll dive into that in just a moment. We have a lot coming up in the next 30 minutes, and here to help me dive into all of that is FC Dallas goalkeeper Dan Kennedy. So glad that you can join us.
Wow, thanks for having me.
And I like the gear you got on here.
Yeah, oh yeah, always fitted in the new
Yes.
gear. You can get that at the store.
We got the memo, and you can actually get that at the store as well. Just go to the FC Dallas Pro Shop and say the phrase. I suggest you whisper the phrase, crush the orange. Get 20% off any t-shirt all week long. Here's a look at what we have coming up on today's show. You are going to get to know Dan a little bit better. Are you ready for these? Because we've gotten some questions in for you.
I'm ready.
They're pretty strong. We are also going to show you the moment of the match from last Saturday's game. We will also introduce you to a young FC Dallas Youth Academy player who had the experience of a lifetime in this week's FCD Next. And then we will wrap up the show and let Dan answer your questions. And that's the great thing about FC Dallas Live, brought to you by Toyota, is that you control the show. Simply tweet us, Instagram us, Facebook us, whatever you want to do, using the hashtag FCD Live. We'll be monitoring them, and we'll be answering your questions a little bit later in the show in about 20 minutes or so. You're ready.
I'm ready.
You can handle it. The man can handle anything. You can also have an opportunity to win not 1, but 2 tickets to FC Dallas's next match here at Toyota Stadium versus the Houston Dynamo. All you have to do is text FCD Live to 444-222 to be eligible to win. It's so cold in here, I can't talk. To be eligible to win 2 tickets to the June 26th match against Houston. Okay, back with Dan Kennedy. Are you cold at all?
I'm okay
freezing.
right now. I just walked in though.
I'm telling you, it's freezing in here. The rain is having an effect on us. But something that's had an effect on you guys is last night.
Yeah.
The team was not in Frisco, was in Fort Worth playing in the U.S. Open Cup game against the team from Oklahoma City. And finally, this team got a win, and it was kind of nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you kind of knew that goals were going to come at some point, and certainly last night was a perfect night for that. It was in front of fans that maybe aren't so close to Frisco, and the boys we had a great performance.
It was nice to see FC Dallas come up in the win column. And what it's done is altered training a little bit. Usually you guys have your workouts early in the morning, but you're actually just coming into work right now.
Yeah, that's right. A little bit of a late night,
yeah.
So a little bit of a late start today.
So it's a 5 o'clock training time today, and then back to schedule tomorrow.
Yeah, then back to traveling tomorrow off to Colorado.
Back to traveling off to Colorado as FC Dallas wraps up this longest road trip in franchise history. 5 straight matches away from Toyota Stadium. And as you look at how this team has played of late, it's easy to say, oh my gosh, what is going on? But if you take a step back and you see the injuries, the international call-ups, the suspensions, again, not excuses, but does all this come into play in terms of what we've seen on the field?
It certainly comes into play. I think that maybe if you're looking at the Seattle game, the result was maybe even a little unfair. For me, it was our best half. The first half was our best half of the season so far. And regardless of injuries, international call-ups, suspensions, the team stepped up. And so now it's just about being able to put in that complete performance over 90 minutes.
You look at that Seattle game, and we'll dive into that a little bit further in our moment of the match coming up in the next segment here on FC Dallas Live, brought to you by Toyota. But you look at that Seattle game, and you hold Seattle scoreless, one of the hottest teams in the MLS right now. And you go into the locker room at halftime thinking, okay, we got a little momentum going on here, and then you give up 3 goals in the second half.
Yeah, and that's the nature of soccer now, not just in MLS but worldwide. The games can get away from you quick, and a team like Seattle will punish you for any chance that they take. And what's important though is that we realize over the last 4 games we've been on the road, we've put together some good moments, and we're just looking to have a complete game performance. And that's where we're at. I think we're ready to do that against Colorado.
Now, I've talked to so many people, and they always tend to tell me stats are for losers because you can always interpret them as you like. But I think there's some telling numbers as it relates to FC Dallas. 1 goal in the last 5 games.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
Well, a bit of it's fortune. Certainly comes into that injuries, international call-ups. But like we said, we don't want to make excuses. We have a deep enough team to be competitive in any match with any group of players. So it's just about kind of, I guess, breaking your luck, when you're down on it. And I think it happened last night. And we went into that game knowing that there was going to be opportunities. It was just about putting a few away. And you kind of see after the first goal, the team almost relaxes a little bit, and they got it off their back, and the attack was more fluid, and we got 4 goals because of it. So we need to build on that.
Was there something about that U.S. Open Cup match last night against Oklahoma City in that this team may have felt a little bit of pressure? It's the Lamar Hunt Trophy you're playing for. You want to end this losing stretch.
They're always tricky matches, especially against teams from a lower division, because it's maybe their biggest game of the year. But our guys handled it like pros, and that's what it's going to take to go far in the Cup. And certainly with it being the Lamar Hunt Open Cup, it's special to this club and it's special to us players.
And then there's another number I'd like to look at as well over the last 3 games. 9 goals given up in the last 3 games.
Right.
How do you explain that one?
Well, again, I think it's a little bit of fortune. We were a bit unlucky, and the circumstances that we had some really good moments throughout games, like a great first half in Seattle. I don't want to keep harping on it, but like you said, you don't want to read too much into the statistics. You want to look more at how those goals are coming, why they're coming, when they're coming, and see what we can do to avoid them. And I'm certain that we'll find those solutions and be able to avoid them in the future.
How challenging is a week like this one? You play a game on Saturday in Seattle, which is not some short road trip.
Right.
And that's a 5-hour plane ride, even
Right.
for the most well-seasoned travelers. And then you have a match on Tuesday night, and then you play not Saturday or later in the weekend, but Friday. That's 3
Right.
matches in 7 days. How does that affect a team?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, and guys just we have to understand as players that this week's going to take a little bit more focus. And sometimes when you have a deflating second half in Seattle, the best thing that can happen is to have a game midweek, which happened, and we had a great performance. So now, hopefully, going into this Colorado game, it's not as heavy of a lift as maybe you thought once we were returning from Seattle. We recover from it quickly, and we have a little bit of momentum.
The thing is, Colorado did not play last Saturday, so they have a little bit of rest, but
Yep.
they were in the same
played last night,
situation
right.
in that they did play last night. So something you can take advantage of. And like you said, playing against a lesser level of opponent in Oklahoma City, hoping to capitalize on that win and keep that momentum going forward. Was that sort of the message Oscar Pareja had last night in the room?
Yeah, the message is that we're pros. Doesn't matter who we're playing, where we're playing, and we gotta do what we do. And just testament to the guys on the field that made the impact, and it shows the depth of this team and where we're going. And it's up.
Prior to coming to FC Dallas, you spent the 7 previous seasons with Chivas USA.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was up and down. When I arrived there, the team was conference champions, and obviously last year the team folded in a way.
Yeah.
So I went through a lot of highs and lows, both with the team, personally, professionally. It was tricky, but I found a way to be successful there, and I'm hoping to take the experiences that I have had from Chivas and help this club move forward and be a part of hopefully what is a long time here.
You come in as a more veteran player, a bit of a seasoned player. Do you feel that these younger guys really do look up to guys like you who've been in the league a while and have experienced maybe a few more things?
I think I can offer them something. I'm not sure how much they look up to me. I mean, they're pros.
Yeah.
They are. I've been very surprised with the ability of the young players at this club. It's very impressive what the amount of production we get out of some of these guys that are only a couple of years into their professional careers. So part of my excitement of coming here was knowing that this was a young team, and MLS is very cyclical, and I think that this team is going to go somewhere in the next 3-4 seasons. And we're going to try to make it happen this season without a doubt, but I'm excited to be here over this course of time, in which I think we can win some championships.
All right, Dan Kennedy, on that note, time to take our first break. You ready to stick around for more?
Yep.
Okay, much more on FC Dallas Live, brought to you by Toyota with Dan Kennedy when we come back after this quick break. Coming up in our next segment, you will hear from a young man who truly had the experience of a lifetime. That story and more when we come back. First, though, FC Dallas returns to Toyota Stadium on June 26th. The Texas Derby continues when the Houston Dynamo come to Frisco in a match presented by Nova Nordisk. FC Dallas is back home for a holiday matchup against the New England Revolution on July 4th in a match presented by TXU Energy. Tickets are limited for both games, so just log on to fcdallas.com for more information. Stick around. There is more FC Dallas Live presented by Toyota right after this quick timeout.
It's Tundra Summer Camp time. Get an awesome deal on a 2015 Special Edition Tundra. And right now it comes with all this great Bass Pro Shops camping gear, so you can get your kids in touch with nature.
Look, Daddy, beaver! Whoa.
Which is probably a good thing. The Tundra Summer Camp event. Get a Bass Pro Shops camping package with every purchase of a Special Edition Tundra. Toyota, let's go places.
We don't give up. We don't quit. We keep going. Day in, day out. We fight on. Why? Because we are champions. Be a champion.
Advocare brings you this week's Moment of the Match.
Yes, can he make the Sounders pay? Perez, back up!
Our Moment of the Match comes in the 31st minute of FC Dallas's trip to Seattle. Blas Perez passes to midfielder Kyle Becker, who had a point-blank look on goal, but Sounders goalkeeper Stefan Fry makes the save in the bottom corner to deny Dallas the go-ahead goal and keep the match scoreless going into the locker room at the half. Welcome back to FC Dallas Live, presented by Toyota. I am Gina Miller alongside FC Dallas goalkeeper Dan Kennedy. So glad that you can join us for this live interactive broadcast, which is your all-access pass to your favorite soccer club. Remember, you can always join the show simply by using the hashtag on Twitter, FCD Live. We will be reading your questions to Dan. We've gotten some good ones, fair warning.
Oh, yeah.
And some fun ones. We'll be reading those in about 10 minutes here on FC Dallas Live. Time now, though, to take a look back at the Seattle game, and you referenced that earlier in the show, Dan, in which you guys played phenomenally in that first half, and it really was a tale of two halves, quite frankly, for both teams.
Yeah, without a doubt. They made a couple. I mean, we went into halftime feeling very good to where we were at. I thought we were unlucky not to have one, maybe two goals. And when you're on the road, you kind of have to capitalize on those opportunities. To be fair, Seattle made some adjustments, both personnel and tactically, and we didn't. I guess we didn't adjust to what they changed in their lineup and how they started pressuring us, and it cost us. But what's important is that we learn from it and that we don't let it get us down, because I think obviously right now they're the best team in the league, statistically speaking, with points. And for the performance that we put on the field in the first half, we showed very much that we can compete with them and we can be on an even playing field with them without question. And so it's about building on the positives and learning from the negatives.
Is that hard to do, though? I mean, because you look to try and find the silver lining in any situation, but you look at Seattle, they're 4-1-1 over their last 6 on top of the Western Conference. Mm-hmm. Is it a challenge when you end a game the way you guys did to find that silver lining?
Well, it certainly doesn't feel good, yeah. But it's really about responding. And I've never played a season in which you don't have setbacks, right? So that's always what it's about. It's about when things don't go as planned, when things don't go right, how you respond to that. And that's going to be really the most maybe important lesson we take from any tough loss is moving on, moving forward, getting over it, and playing to our potential for 90 minutes, not 45.
And I think it's also key to remember it's a very long season.
That's right.
And there are roller coasters
That's right.
in every season. Well, most people watch the UEFA Champions League final on TV, but 4 FC Dallas Academy players got to experience it in person. Chase brings you this week's FCD Next, where Daniel Robertson catches up with Palmer Palmikal, who is fresh off the experience of a lifetime.
Welcome to FCD Next, presented by Chase. Today we're talking to 15-year-old FC Dallas midfielder Paxton Pomykal, where he and 3 of his teammates had the trip of a lifetime, traveling to the 2015 UEFA Champions League final in Berlin to represent the United States in the Adidas Young Champions Tournament.
It was just a surreal experience to play against other nationalities and to see the different cultures.
After a day full of games, Pomykal was identified as the MVP of the tournament, and he was invited to play in the Ultimate Champions match, which featured 25 players who have won the UEFA Champions League.
The games were intense, you gotta always be on your toes, be quick, move the ball quick, It's hard adapting to the style of play that other teams play because you don't know, and you don't know the other cultures, of course, but it was a good experience overall.
Pomykal played on a squad with legends like Cafu, Clarence Seedorf, Robert Pires, and Steve McManaman, while his opponents featured legends like Mark Van Bommel, Deco, Christian Vieri, and Edwin van der Sar.
Growing up, I'm an Arsenal fan, getting to play with Robert Pires and my coach being Peter van Schmeichel, and it's just all these big names that you think that you never in your wildest dreams even meet. You're on the field next to him playing against him, so it was really cool.
The next day, Pomykal, along with his teammates David Abonse, Jomar Reyes, and Mark Salas, as well as their coach Chris Hayden, got to enjoy the Champions League final between Barcelona and Juventus in person at the Olympic Stadium in Berlin.
My favorite part was the Champions League final because, of course, you get to see your idols as a kid, and it's surreal to see all those players play.
For more on FCD Youth, visit fcdallas.com/youth and follow @FCDallasYouth on Twitter.
Paxton is a 15-year-old and is that talented and got to have that experience. Could you imagine?
No, I can't. I can't imagine being the quality of player that he is at that age, and I can't imagine going to a Champions League final. I'm sure he's just on cloud 9.
You've experienced a lot of youth soccer in your day. How does this experience here at FC Dallas compare to some that you've seen in the past?
Oh, it's developed from the infrastructure of academies to the level of players for their age groups. Everything's developing, and players are just getting better at a younger age. And for guys like me that grew up playing twice a week, now these kids are pros, when they're 14, 15 years old, coming in, training first, going to school second. I think it's a real bright spot in where the future of soccer is going in this country.
Well, young Paxton Pomykal may be in a situation where he could be a future MLS All-Star, but you have the opportunity to send 8 players from FC Dallas to the All-Star game next month. You can send this man right here: Dan Kennedy, Matt Hedges, Zach Lloyd, Mauro Diaz, Victor Ulloa, Tesho Akindele, Fabian Castillo, and Blas Perez to the All-Star game next month in Denver. Just visit MLSsoccer.com for more details. You played in the MLS All-Star game in 2012. What do you remember from that experience?
Oh, it was one of the highlights of my career, without a doubt. I got to play against Chelsea, who were just coming off a Champions League victory. So it was unique. It was special. I actually got to play with Thierry Henry and David Beckham, who were a couple players I certainly watched a lot as a kid. And I also got to play with a kid from my hometown named Chris Pontius, who also went to UC Santa Barbara, where I went. So it was a special experience that I enjoyed thoroughly, as most, I'm sure, all players do.
In terms of pinch me moments, and I love asking you guys this because I know you have a lot of them. In terms of pinch me moments, this is really happening. Where did that rank?
Yeah, that was up there. It had to be probably number 1. I remember maybe my best save in the game was against Frank Lampard, and now that he's coming into the league, it's one thing, but he was just another one of those players that I watched growing up, and always thought about what I would do playing against him. So it was fun to challenge myself at that level.
And then you had a save against him, which is even better, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Even better.
He scored on me too.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. That's okay. You got the save.
Yeah.
Remember silver lining. That's what we're discussing. Silver lining here. Much more still ahead here on FC Dallas Live, brought to you by Toyota. Still chance to get your questions in For Dan Kennedy, simply using the hashtag FCDLive. That's all you need to do. We'll be asking them when we come back. We will also preview this Friday's match against Colorado. FC Dallas Live, brought to you by Toyota, continues right after this. First, though, are you looking for a great gift for the dad in your life for Father's Day? FC Dallas has you covered. Get 2 field seats plus a post-game visit to the field for a photo for FC Dallas's match against the Houston Dynamo on Friday, June 26th. It's part of their Father's Day package. You can be involved in it as well. Just visit fcdallas.com to learn more about the club's Father's Day package.
It's Tundra Summer Camp time. Get an awesome deal on a 2015 Special Edition Tundra. And right now it comes with all this great Bass Pro Shops camping gear, so you can get your kids in touch with nature.
Look, Daddy, beaver! Whoa.
Which is probably a good thing. The Tundra Summer Camp event. Get a Bass Pro Shops camping package with every purchase of a Special Edition Tundra. Toyota, let's go places.
FC Dallas faces the Houston Dynamo Friday, June 26th at 8 p.m. presented by Novo Nordisk. Tickets are on sale now at fcdallas.com.
We are back on FC Dallas Live, presented by Toyota. So glad you're spending some time with us here with FC Dallas goalkeeper Dan Kennedy, who's graciously coming in before you have to go to work. Usually when you guys join us, you're done for the day,
right.
You're chilling out, you're going into work.
Just getting geared up for
practice.
practice.
Okay. So how does a training session today, after that U.S. Open Cup match last night, how does that differ? Does Oscar Pareja change things up at all?
Yeah, it'd be split into 2 groups. One, the group of guys that played last night will be on a limited routine recovery, and the guys that didn't will get after it and train and prepare for Friday.
And you're in the get after it, train,
That's
and prepare
right.
group.
That's
yeah.
right.
And Friday will be here before you know it. I mean, this week has truly flown by. FC Dallas plays 3 matches when you include that U.S. Open Cup match. 3 matches in 7 days, and it culminates this Friday in Colorado against the Colorado Rapids. Again, they played last night as well. They played the Colorado Springs Switchbacks in that U.S. Open Cup match. They were off last Saturday, though. Still, this Colorado Rapids team has 1 win in its last 5. FC Dallas lost to Colorado on April 10th, got a point in a 1-1 game on April 24th. How do you see this matchup?
Yeah, it's important that in conference games, especially when you look at them as a series, that you don't let points get away from you. So this is, if we go there and we get 3 points, we'll even the series, and that'll certainly help our standings in the Western Conference.
And then I just, I hate harping on this, but I think it might mean something from a confidence standpoint too, because you want to get something in the W column.
Yeah, that's right. You always want to win. You want to feel good about the work that you're putting in. We work really hard to get results, and when results don't come, it can get a bit frustrating. But I think everybody understands what a tough 5-week stretch this has been. And now that we're at the end of it, let's capitalize and come home with 3 points.
Has it been more difficult than you anticipated? Because I talked to a bunch of you guys before the 5-match road swing, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be tough, but it's 5 weeks. We can handle it.
Right.
Has it been tougher than anticipated?
I don't know. It's tough to categorize it like that. I think everyone goes into a big challenge optimistic, and when things don't necessarily go as you saw them going, I don't know. I haven't had the wind taken out of my sails about it. I just know that there's more work to do, and I feel like this Friday is as good a game as any to get back in that win column and then come back and prepare for Houston at home, in which I think we're itching to get back home for sure.
Well, talking about work having to be done, you haven't even started the work because we're now opening up the questions.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah, ready to go.
And these folks here, man, they're ready to put you to the business here. Okay, Arden Frye on Instagram wanted to know, can you imagine yourself playing any other sport?
Yeah, I'm a huge basketball lover. Yeah, I grew up, that was my number 1 sport. And I guess that's how I transitioned into goalkeeping. I knew I wasn't going to be the tallest, but certainly the hand-eye coordination was there from playing a lot of basketball. And I enjoyed watching the Warriors win the championship last night.
Now I was going to say 3 follow-ups there. Were you happy with the finals outcome?
Yeah, California kid. Come on.
Now,
I'm a Laker fan.
I was going to ask you. Now, but did you like Andre Iguodala getting the MVP?
Yeah, why not? It doesn't always have to be the marquee guy that's getting the MVP. He did a lot of dirty work for the team in the series, and he was worthy of the award, I guess.
It was a good series. Were you a point guard?
I actually played 1 through 3.
Oh, okay,
so,
very good.
yeah.
Okay, I like it. More questions coming in for FC Dallas goalkeeper Dan Kennedy. Still have time to get yours in. Simply tweet us using the hashtag FCDLive, and we will take your questions. Another one here on Instagram from Vincy_Rossi98. I'm a goalkeeper too and want to ask, what's the best way to save a penalty?
Well, now for us, we have so much video footage of guys taking penalty kicks. We get to study them. And majority of players at this level switch sides, have a variety of different shots that they can take. But you can kind of, I guess, in the details of watching their approach, how they set the ball down, hopefully pick something up that can give you an indication on maybe where they're likely to go. So now it's really just about studying the game. But there is the off moment where you just get a feeling and you know where it's going, and you got to trust that as well.
I love that. Young players getting advice from the pros. Ivan VC137 wants to know on Instagram, how upset were you not winning the Ferrari, but it was actually the Lambo?
Right.
Let's explain this a little bit.
Yeah. So Continental Tires put on a promotion last year where a handful of us MLS players got to compete in a race while driving a Lamborghini, and the player with the best time around the track won the Lamborghini. Not outright.
So cool, though.
They won the Lamborghini to drive for a year.
Still.
And I lost in the final on disqualification because I hit a cone. So I was extremely aggressive behind the wheel. I enjoyed it. It was a great experience. And I look at it as a blessing in disguise because now I don't have to pay any speeding tickets without driving a Lamborghini. But to say the least, I was devastated. You kidding me?
Right. A free Lambo for a year?
Yeah.
I mean, gosh. But I'm sure your entire family's glad you did not get it as well.
That's right.
I'm
Well,
sure
yeah,
they are.
you could take something out of it.
Yeah. On Instagram, Original Hanil wants to know, what's on your pregame playlist?
Pre-game playlist, geez, I like easy listening. John Mayer, Jack Johnson, just take it down a notch, relax, focus. I don't get too hyped up on music. I'll even throw on some country jams, Garth Brooks, and just try to get in a real positive mind frame before the game.
There's no NPR or Tony Robbins on your pregame.
No, not yet. Not yet. In time.
You never know. Whatever works. We got this from a couple of people because we all saw what Clint Dempsey did.
Yeah.
At CoolKenny27 and at Red Aaron Hooligan, I'm sorry. Have you ever ripped up a ref's notebook at any level, given that Clint Dempsey did that?
Fortunately, I've never taken it that far. I could understand his frustrations. As players, we all get caught up in the moment. But yeah, games get out of control. It's kind of the last thing you want to see, though.
How tough is that, though, to keep your emotions in check? Because you're competitive, and there's such a fine line between being that passionate player and then taking it one step too far.
Yeah, you said it best. There's just a fine line, and sometimes as players, we've all crossed it in different circumstances. Sometimes it's fortunate enough to be out on the training pitch when no one sees it, but sometimes you do it in a big moment in the middle of a game, and he's going to get criticized and probably get hit in the pocketbook with it a little bit, but he'll be all right.
What's crazy is they finished that match last night with seven guys.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Have you? We were down to, I think, 9 within like 20 minutes of a game in Salt Lake once, but that was as bad as it had gotten in my experiences.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to save the best for last here. John Slovacek on Facebook wants to know, what is the biggest difference between living here and living in LA, other than rents and fuel costs, of course?
I don't have the beach in my backyard. I think that's the only downfall, though. My wife and I have adjusted seamlessly, I would say, and I think the greatest thing for me personally is the soccer experience that I'm having again, and to get out of the environment that I was in before, which I think turned in the end to be a little bit of a negative one, with all the obstacles that we had at Chivas USA, to come here to a positive environment in which we really feel like we can challenge and win something in this league, and hopefully the Open Cup. So it's been exciting, a little shot in my arm, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Did you ever think you'd be a Texan?
I was almost a Texan. Not a lot of people know that.
Tell
but
us.
Yeah, I was almost here before I signed with Chivas. I was here on trial in 2008, and that's how I got to know Marco and Drew. And well, fortunately enough for me, I'm back here and just ready to make the most of it.
Have you adopted y'all and fixin', those sort of phrases
I'm
yet?
sure it's coming.
I'm sure it is.
coming.
I'm sure it is. You may have a child born here,
Yeah,
so
that's
the
right.
little one may
Yeah,
have.
Yeah, my kids will be Texans.
First words will be y'all. And then finally, we got this one on both Instagram and Twitter, and it's from Jason Jasik, who wants to know, tough questions here, Dan. Has anyone told you that you look like the actor Chris Pratt? There you go. Oh, Jack Jasik. I apologize, Jack.
I haven't gotten that one yet, but I can certainly see the profile similarities. I'll do my best to channel my inner Pratt.
Well, wouldn't you love that Jurassic Park experience?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
and that
that's
paycheck
right,
that goes along with
I heard
experience.
I heard they had a tough opening weekend.
Oh, did they?
No.
I was going to say, I didn't think so. Entourage had the tough
yeah.
opening
Oh,
weekend.
did they?
Yeah, Entourage, not so much. But Chris Pratt, Dan Kennedy, separated at birth.
Yeah, maybe.
Perhaps.
You never know.
You never know. That'll just about do it for us here on FC Dallas Live, brought to you by Toyota. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And
Anytime.
battling the cold and my frozen self here. We need some scarves here, don't you think?
Yeah, maybe next time we'll pick some scarves up from the store.
I like it. Again, you can get these shirts in the store, or any shirt you like, a t-shirt. Just go to the pro shop here throughout the week, and you can whisper the phrase, "Crush the Orange," to get 20% off any t-shirt all week long here at Toyota Stadium. So that just about does it for us. Thank you so much for joining us here as I drop my phone on FC Dallas Live, brought to you by Toyota. You never know what will happen here on the show, Dan, right?
Crazy. Gotta be careful.
That's the beauty of it. So thanks again for joining us.
No problem.
Thank you at home, and be sure to join us next week, 2 weeks from today, for our next broadcast. Until then, keep in touch with FC Dallas on all of their social media platforms, and you can always check in with the team at fcdallas.com. Stay safe, everyone. We'll talk to you next time on FC Dallas Live, brought to you by Toyota.